we'll just give it a minute or two for notifications to get out and people to hop on in here. Thank you all so much for joining. Especially like right at the beginning here, it helps get the momentum going, and you guys are amazing at that. Actually, it's always good to see you guys, and I'm pretty excited to show you what we got going on today. Because I had a comic blow up early, not like crazy big, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be like a blowout, you know. I was just really happy with the response. My comics get like, kind of a mixed reading sometimes. Like, people get upset about the AI stuff and it causes a bunch of downvotes, blah, 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 blah. But today, on Wednesday, when I released the most recent comic, it was the exact opposite. Everyone was just very, very happy with it because it was a collab. It was a collab with two other artists, Graceland West and Miles the New Kid. Or you might know him on Reddit as My Gums Are Bleeding. I love Miles. Miles comics are so freaking cool. So just to give you guys a little bit of backstory on what was going on. Actually, let me first introduce myself. My name is Victor Gnarly. I am a former visual effects artist for Cartoon Network and worked on Adult Swim shows like Robot Chicken, Moral Oral, and a bunch of other stop motion shows and stuff. So I love doing this now. It is definitely has taken over my life to do AI stuff because I was explaining this in the comments earlier this week where it was like, look, I know that a lot of this stuff can be pretty scary for people and stuff, but the reality for me is that like 90, even though it means like significantly less work is out there because of new tools, what it means is that now that 2% of fun that I was having doing what I used to do is now 98%. It's like completely flipped. And it's so much fun to be doing what I used to do as opposed to what I do now. So I think today we're going to be mixing that up today. To not only to dig into the comic that I posted, but also because we are going to be getting into video today. It is something that I'm excited to dig into mixed media with you guys because this comic. I'll just first do the tour here really quick for anyone that's new. We have a couple different channels you can participate in. We have VC Create, which is just above the stage here, and VC Create is where we can prompt things together, and you're going to see people already doing that. We already got a couple of folks waving hi and all that kind of stuff. If you do have an OC, you can use it and post it here. So like I have mine saved inside of Midjourney, right? So like I can I have it as a parameter, so it's really easy for me to pull up. So we can say let's just say waving hello, and I could say with speech bubble that reads hello. It's a little redundant, but it's fine. And then I will add what is called a cref or a character reference that is hyphen cref. And then I have Victor saved as multiple images, but recently people have been making like these character sheets, and I think Go Pasta made mine recently, and it's just super, super handy. But we're going to pull up all my old original images for this one. So we have hyphen cref and then hyphen Victor is how I have him saved inside of my account. For you guys to do the same thing, you'll need to use /prefer to save your links inside of your Midjourney account. So I'll show you guys how to do that in a little bit. But for now, just hyphen Victor. Get with the cref in front of it. We'll paste all the links in there. And then because he's an anime character, I'm going to use Niji6. And then just hit enter. What the parameter does, the custom prefer parameter does, is it replaces whatever you made a name for with whatever is inside of that parameter. So I have all these original reference images of Victor, and because it's all saved these links, I could easily get him to pop up like this inside of my prompts. So this is like really what I was aiming for, like right off the bat, just a friendly hello. There's no speech bubble, but he's kind of contained within the speech bubble, so that's pretty fun. And as Kinky has posted here in the VC text, which is where you guys can chat with me during the stream, You just post a URL of your character after the cref parameter, and that will force Midjourney to include your character in your result. So that's how I got this one. And you can see we already got some folks submitting their OCs or messing with mine. You guys are welcome to take anything from this feed and just start messing with it. We also have a place to submit characters. So if you do find a character you like or you've made one yourself, then you can easily submit it to our character portal on our server. So the we'll get into that here in a little bit. I think for now, I just want to see if you do have an OC, feel free to post it in VC Create and say hey. It's a really fun way to just instantly make comics, right? It's almost like real time cartooning that we're able to do just by including the phrase speech bubble that reads, and then post whatever you want your character to say. A lot of times, whatever you write inside of your prompt will actually evoke the results. So like if you say that like I don't know, like you're wrestling a gator or whatever, and you're speaking to the gator or speaking about the gator, it'll throw a gator in there, even if you didn't necessarily prompt directly for it, if it's just in the speech bubble. So have fun with that, mess around with it. But I'm curious to see what you guys can do. But for now, when it comes to what we do here, it's kind of just whatever you guys feel like you want to do. You're welcome to pitch ideas inside of VC Text and just be able to make things with us. We have a whole bunch of useful codes and things inside of our server as well. But I have a million credits in Pika Labs, so I figured that today we could make a couple of fun compositions and then start burning my Pika Labs account to the ground. We'll just make a bunch of really cool cinematic shots and be able to tell some stories. Starting on the next stream, because it's February, I kind of dubbed this impromptu. I was pretty impromptu about this, but like I think we should do Fantasy February. So when it comes to the next stream, we'll definitely be doing fantasy stuff, and so let's just do this as kind of like a little test of that and see what sort of fantasy stuff we could make together. You can see Rhapsody has been going real hard with Pika Labs 2.1. It is I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's really cool, and I've been using it a lot for random projects, particularly the comic that I made. So we'll get into that right now. I think that'll be fun to do. I'm going to open up the question here. And I'm going to link this inside of VC Text so you guys have both releases of it, because it was split into two parts for Reddit. So let's I gotta go start with this one here. Okay. So I'll post this comment here. Fantasy February. Fantasy February. That is a tongue twister there, Snoopy. But here is part one. And then part two you can catch right here. So I have two links for you here. For Bruta Fantasy. All right, so I have two links for you guys to check out, but we're going to go through the comic here together really quick. So it opens up with Victor talking to Tony. Tony is one of Graceland's characters, and he's like, "I got a question for you, Tony." And he responds, "How do you get in my house?" And he's like, "Not important." Victor responds. He's like, "I disagree." And keep in mind that as I continue with this comic, everything here was made in Midjourney. Okay, I did a lot of Photoshop stuff to kind of clean up certain details, right? But using the new Midjourney editor and some mood boards of Graceland's comics, I was able to get Midjourney to recreate a lot of his aesthetic, which is something we will also explore today. Yes, this is all Midjourney. And then what happens is, how many people reading this comic are pooping right now? And then we cut to Maurice sitting in the bathroom. I had to end it with this, at least one, mostly because there's like an ongoing joke whenever it comes to Reddit, right? That like it's people kind of assume that you have like sophisticated audiences. No, no, no. People are just, doom scrolling wherever, and that includes the toilet. And I wanted to create a bit of a viral reaction to all this, by basically addressing that fact, making it engaging, just at like, hey, yeah, I'm doing that too. And guess what? 90% of my comments were. It was just people confirming that they were on the toilet. So I had a lot of fun with this one. And we will be digging into exactly how I made these. But then for part two, we have wham, and something starts to come out of the television, and the from here we get into our Pika Labs animation. So the thing about this, guys, is that Necromonica, the comic series from Miles, is a horror comic. He does like really really fantastic these long form comics related to this female character Monica. And I just fell in love with the series, and I had to reach out. I was like, dude, I want her to come out of the television like The Ring, and I think I can do it with Pika Labs, so I just want to just do it. Would you be okay if I did? And he was like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, go nuts. So I was all about it. And I came up with this. So the thing is that, yeah, that is a good question, Raps. I'm sure the number is much lower than Reddit, though. But when it comes to this, I had a couple of questions related to how much of this is AI and how much of this is done with other programs. And the reality is that you cannot fully generate a comic like this. What you need to do is you need to set everything up first, and then bring the individual panels into Pika Labs, and then clean up those results. This is actually two different renders that came out. So I had one of her where she grabs the wall and starts to climb out of the television. And then I had another one where she is kind of pulling herself out of the TV. And by reversing the first one, I was able to essentially make it look like they were one seamless clip. But we are using After Effects to merge these two shots together and to retime them. So that's actually what I want to do today with you guys. Is we're gonna animate some stuff, and then we're gonna get those results, and we're gonna put that into a cohesive like timeline of sorts, and try to kind of push the boundaries of what we can do with AI video, because this goes beyond just putting a prompt in there and seeing what moves. This was at least 3 days of work to get all this stuff to line up right. But the comic ends with her coming out and interrupting this moment and saying, "Hey, you guys want to watch Space Jam?" And the entire time, for the entire weekend that I had this comic up, the Space Jam's been sitting on the counter down here, underneath her hand here. So I really wanted to just be like a little Easter egg there. And then there's no answer. I wanted it to be open-ended so that when people actually read the comic, they go yes or no or whatever. I wanted to hear the responses to that. So there's a lot of arguments about whether or not the second Space Jam is technically a sequel, and it's not. It's a remake, an awful remake. So yeah, anyway, that was my silliness that I had with Graceland West and Miles. And so I'm gonna take some of that process with you guys here today, and we will then bring that stuff into video. I'm not really too sure exactly which order I'm gonna go in to kind of explain all this, but it is quite a lot. But we can basically then take whatever panels we have, bring it into Pika Labs, and start animating with it like I've done here. There's a couple of Victor ones that we went through. Let's see here. Yeah, like this one here. I'll zoom in so you guys have a little bit of a better view here. So Pika Labs lets us take our Midjourney exports and turn them into, properly fleshed out animations and stuff. I think this is actually Pika 2.0. It's not 2.1, but it is really impressive what we're able to do with our Midjourney outputs by using this. And this is a Bert's comic that I'll be releasing a little later. I couldn't help myself but try to animate that last panel with Doom Guy, but we'll get into that a little later. I did also animate Miss Nameless. So I really love this retexture of that meme, right? Of the little girl looking at the camera while smiling, and the house is on fire in the background. such a fun meme. So I really liked your remake of this. So when I ran this through Pika Labs 2.1, it's so good. Like I was so impressed with the slow mo, but it took a couple renders to get this to behave the way I wanted it to. So there's a lot of like lip flapping, like not really anything going on. It's just pop 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 pop. Not really anything. So what it took for me to get to that point was to actually add the word anime at the end of it, which is just circumstantial. I'm sure that if you had hit re-render on the same prompt, it would have done something similar. But yeah, it really is a ton of fun. So we're gonna get into all that today and make some cool cartoons together. And who knows? Maybe we'll end up making something super fun that we can keep adapting and adding on to. But let's first see what some of the stuff that you guys have been making inside of VC Create. So let's see here. I see I Troll for You is making some comic related stuff. We have Gom Pasta making the ring coming out of the television. Yeah, you can see that even when it comes to setting up the prompts, it's kind of a hard concept to pitch, right? To the coming out of the television, right? So what I had to do was essentially prompt her as a mood board first. That made it a lot easier to not get the character to dominate the result like this, right? Where instead the actual subject is the television. Like yes, the focus is on the girl coming out of it, but the reality is I need the television to be like center of the screen, right? So to construct all that, I actually built it a bit in Photoshop and then used that as the image prompt to kind of like force this idea for Pika Labs, and then it was able to go from there. Um, from Rhapsody here. Hold on, I gotta zoom out for this one. I'm sure this will be a calm stream without any problems, and it's just her little like one of the Zen animations she got from Pika. Yeah. We'll probably run into a couple pretty interesting results. But what I'm gonna do to kind of force because like a lot of these results that you're gonna get from Midjourney by default are going to be anything from like a standalone art piece, like a painterly style, or something completely, abstract or not even, you can't even tell what medium that it was supposed to replicate. We need to give Pika Labs stuff that makes sense for it, as in like we want to give it maybe a screenshot from a film or an animated movie or anything like that, because it's when you have a bot like this that can make anything, it's important to hone in exactly what your intent is. Our intent today is to make animated videos, right? So we have to properly provide a setup for that. So let's do that just with our prompts here really quick. I'm going to take one of your all's characters that I'm just going to zoom on up and see what you can find here. We have a couple of ghoulish looking guys. I'm going to avoid a little bit of the horror stuff today, just because I've already done so much horror with the ring and whatnot. I'm a little burned on it, but let me just grab. Ooh. I like this character a lot. We did a little like hissy fit fight with this character between him and Victor. Kind of blanking on his name right now, but we'll figure it out. Look at the Victor with the screen. That's great. That's amazing. Festus, thank you, Festus. I appreciate that, Goompasta. But we're gonna actually prompt Festus here, and it's very easy to do. I just copied the cref or the URLs for the character from the prompt earlier here, and I'm gonna start by saying that this is an animated film. And we need to kind of set it up right for an animated film, as in we need to set the right aspect ratio. So let's do AR 16:9. That's a pretty standard widescreen video. But this is you're already having to decide intent at this stage, because understand, if you are trying to make a retro anime, for example, you are not going to use 16:9. You're going to use 4:3. You're going to use an older format to replicate that accurately, so that Midjourney gives you an output that looks like something that makes sense from the time period. You can always recrop things and fix it afterward, but the best results, in my opinion, come by giving the proper setup for this. Okay? So if we now go to, so we have animated film AR69, I'm going to do --cref and then paste the code for Festus in there, and then we'll add an EG6. Now there is no actual direction that we've given it. It's just an animated film. I want to start off with this just because we want to see what Midjourney gives us without giving any sort of intent first, just to give us an idea of the kind of imagery we'll get. We can also boost the stylization of this, and that will give a more dramatic results, but it might lean us in one way or the other when it comes to the exact like image quality at the end of the day. So we take a look at this, and that's pretty cool. We definitely have the character consistently in this seated position because of the character reference. If you want to break out of that, you either lower the character weight or you or you provide a different C-ref of the character in a different pose. So there's a lot of different ways we can handle in terms of adapting this. But we probably want to go for something a little bit in between. So I'm going to do --CW, which is character weight, and then I'm going to add a 50 at it. And that's just going to give Midjourney a lot more flexibility on what it can do with this character, including changing Festivus' outfit or anything to fit a more cinematic maybe camera angle, for example. That's impossible or hard for it to do. I won't say impossible. It's hard for it to do with 100% character weight because it is one of the strongest parameters that Midjourney provides. Okay, so that means that it overpowers your prompt very easily. But we can see Potato Propagator here has a character walking on a remote beach, castle on the top of a cliff, character looking serious, character holding a scroll. Yeah, these are great. Like, these are great little setups here. And if you notice, the character reference they use is just their turnaround that they have. That's the ideal way to set this up. And then they have a stylization set to 50, which is very low, but that actually provides a certain level of basically, like, you'll notice that the difference with lower stylization is that the quality tends to be almost funnier. Like, it's like, especially if you're doing comedy stuff, lower stylization kind of helps that. It helps make it a little less sterile. But high stylization, on the other hand, will oftentimes make things very gorgeous or pretty. And that's a pretty objective description of pretty, honestly. But we could see here that when we ran the character weight at 50, we have more dramatic angles, but we only now have one of him sitting. We have more options of this character and his posing, but sometimes he has a tie, sometimes he doesn't. That's what lower character weight does, is it adds little details or removes details that we can always add back in later. But I want to start to give some direction here, and you can see we have a Liquid Science 05. He's got his cyborg character here doing some pretty cool stuff. Actually, that first one's pretty rad. I'm sure we could do some cool stuff with that. We have Hillgarden going nuts with this guy. Anything you guys upres, by the way, if you like it, upres it, and I'll run it in Pika Labs. That's kind of my goal today, is if I see an upresed photo, right, I will run it in Pika Labs, or at least make it something that will be interesting for Pika Labs. I like the monkeys. Hello. And if he does not see it, tag me and I will run it. Yeah. I'm sure you will, Raps, and I appreciate that. I love it. But we are seeing here animated film of a demon. Ooh. And you can see that with the character weight of 50, we have still more flexibility of the character now standing instead of always in the seated position. I do like the wings. There's some pretty cool... Yeah, I can tell you upres that one for a reason. It looks great. But I do want to actually make a really kind of an important note when it comes to this result here. So I'm going to do this here. I am going to take this, because I do like this demon result that we got here. I want to take this and I want to make it ready for Pika Labs, because right now it is not ready, and I will explain why here in just a sec. But first thing I need to do is I need to bring it to my account, okay, because I need to edit it. And if I right now just do like a custom zoom and whatnot, I'll save it in my account. So I'll just do custom zoom, and then I'll set the zoom to 1.01 just because I want it in my account, but I don't want the image to change too much. So I'll just set the zoom as low as I can, and that will save it to this account, and we can start messing with it on my midjourney.com editor, which is a very powerful editor that you don't have on Discord. Some people have access to, I think, the full version if you have over 10,000 renders or an annual subscription. I think that's the limitation right now. I could be wrong. Things might change, but the new editor is awesome. I freaking love it. But if you look at the results that I get by setting the zoom to 1.01, is that all four of the images should barely be any different, only the very outer edges. But the outer edges is actually what I want to emphasize on here. So I'm going to switch ourselves over to my tablet here. So let me switch to here. Okay, just making sure all my stuff still works here. Yeah, okay. And I'm going to refresh my what is it? My Midjourney account here. So there you go. Now we have all four of these results. And the thing is that the issue that we have with this image right off the bat is the fact that Pika Labs might introduce some artifacts because of the frame. If you notice that there is a bit of like a blurring effect that happens on the outside of your images, that's like kind of like a vignette. It's something that gets added just to kind of make it a little prettier. If you run style raw, in my experience, this happens a lot less often. That it creates these sort of like frames in your Midjourney results. But that's entirely subjective. I'm sure that you'll get plenty of them if you do style raw and ask for certain things. But we're going to use the editor here, and we're going to expand this out just a little bit, just to make it so that the frame is a bit more whole. But if I want to keep the aspect ratio, I can just use 16:9 up here, okay, and get ourselves squared up here. So let me push this in like this, okay. Put it in the center. And now to get rid of that vignette effect that's on the outside here, I'm actually just going to erase the outer side of this image. Something like this. And because we used Zoom to save this in my account, I have the original prompt all saved here. So we're good to basically just run this as is, unedited. I mean, like not changing the prompt at all. I'm just getting rid of that outer border that it created for us there. And then I'll hit submit. I'll be running everything in turbo mode, so everything goes a bit quicker for me. But anything that you guys prompt from here on out inside of VC Create, I'll be running as video. So for anyone that's new here, I'm going to be doing a bunch of Pika Lab renders today. But I'm seeing, at least here in VC Create, I'm seeing plenty of fun stuff. So I'm gonna hop back there here in a minute. But with these four results, we could see that it actually exaggerated the frame a little bit there. Like we have a little bit of this, like it just continued. It so we need to actually erase a little more of it. And also, I'm gonna run this as style raw to see if we can get rid of that. So get this up to here. I just want to make sure I get every little bit of it out. There seems like a little bit on the top of his hair that's here. So let's just do that. Okay. And now I'll add -- style raw to the prompt, and then I'll hit submit. Let's see if we were able to get rid of that framing here. And the reason why I recommend getting rid of this stuff before running in Pika Labs is that it has to justify that stuff. It has to create a reason for that sort of framed or blurred outer edge. And this is already so much better running with style raw, just for the outside edges. This is still a little bit there, but now I can just come in and just clean up the very last bits of this, and then we'll run this as a video. It's also true that there's a little bit of nitpicking that's going on here, just because Pika Labs does lower the resolution of the final output, so some of this stuff won't really matter that much. But I find it important to get it cleaned up. Oh, does it not lower the resolution of the what is the max resolution of Pika 2.1? I'm curious. 1920 by 1080? Is that really? Oh wow. Okay. That is insane, actually. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So from here, we're gonna just get our output here. I want to see which one gave us kind of the cleanest result here. We all of them kind of preserved most of the framing, I would say. I'm gonna go with this one here. Okay, let's do upscale, subtle, and creative, and then we'll bring that upscaled version into Pika Labs to show you guys what that process looks like, so that you guys can provide more imagery that makes sense for Pika Labs to make videos out of. Because, like, we normally make comics, right? We normally make all sorts of little stories with still images, and composited like storyboards, like especially the speech bubbles on top of your characters and stuff. That'll add all sorts of wackiness when it comes to Pika Labs trying to understand what's going on in your image or trying to justify those things. Um, it is certainly one of those things that uh, I'm gonna recommend that we try to more lean against the graphic novel aesthetic and more towards the video aesthetic. As in, we want to make something that looks like it's a moment from an anime, a moment from a movie, that kind of thing. That will create the best results. And if I see anything that you guys are like really leaning towards that kind of, goes against that or otherwise might give us trouble, I will make note of it and maybe make the edit ahead of time. So we'll see how it goes. But let's see what we got here for this render. It's at 63, so we got a little more time on the upscale here. I'm going to hop ourselves to VC Create and take a look at some of the stuff you guys have been making while that's rendering. We got animated film of a demon riding a very tiny clown bicycle for my troll for you. That's funny. Yeah, like any of these kind of results are going to give us really interesting because like I have no idea how Pika Labs handles the more minimalist stuff, right? It definitely does a good job with any sort of realistic aspect of the video, as in like the clouds are gonna move really pretty here, that kind of thing. When it comes to anime though, it's not hit or miss. It does a great job. It is certainly something we'll see what it do when it comes to particularly holding on to the character aesthetic. I'm sure that certain results like this, like robot stuff, for example, it'll see that and go like, oh, there's hunks of metal, like cyborg metal, and then not actually be able to describe more detail than that. It will just kind of randomize the sort of scrap metal that's on the face, especially with like junkyard robots and stuff. You see that all the time. It's hard to get consistency with junkyard sort of robot, like Wall-E kind of looking robots. But we do find gold, and that's kind of what we're aiming for here. And I think Liquid Science character could do some pretty cool stuff. So I'm gonna definitely play around with your character a bit here. But you can see Rhapsody already has the first render out with I Troll For You's image here, and yeah, this is very Death Note in the sense that we have a big demon character behind the main. That's awesome. So let's take a look at this upscale that I did here. I'm gonna swap us back over to the tablet here. Okay. So I'm gonna go with, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the creative version just because the creative cleaned up his face a good amount, and I think that's good. There's still a vignette around the outer edge, but I'm just gonna go for it. I always recommend cleaning it up, but we're just gonna go for it. So I'm gonna save this image here. Desktop, just save it, and now I'll bring ourselves to Pika Labs. So I'll first go into the stage here. Just so that we can see what you guys are talking about too. Oh, hey, El Winsy, it's good to see you. Thank you for joining. We're doing some pretty cool stuff with AI video today. So what we're gonna do is come into Pika Labs here, and I'm just going to come to the bottom of the image here, very similar to Midjourney when it comes to using it on Discord. It's always on the bottom of the screen here. And I'm going to now drag and drop this animated film featuring Festus. And now we just want to describe what the character should be doing, right? Or what we want to see. So I'm just gonna go with something pretty generic here, which is animated film depicting a demon approaching the camera Okay, I'm gonna speak this rather director. I'm sure that there's much better ways to prompt for this kind of thing, but we have this now. Animated film. Let's do an anime film instead of animated. Anime film depicting a demon approaching the camera. And we also have a couple of different tools that we can play around with too. I might have Rhapsody help explain a couple of these things, but for now we're just going to go with this prompt and then submit it. And I have a lot of credits to burn, so we're going to go through and start burning them now. Because with one going, that's fine, but I want a bunch of them going. So if Rhapsody hasn't touched it, I'm going for it. So let's see. Um, Ooh, I like this. I like this dude. So why don't we do this? Let's convert this I Troll For You to an animated film really quick, like aspect ratio. So I'm going to hit custom zoom, zoom to 1, and then set the aspect ratio to 16:9. So we have this cool image. I want to make it look more like a film. I'm not going to change anything about your prompt. Just setting the aspect ratio, and we'll be pulling it out that way. So we got that one going. Oh yeah, this one. This one, yes, Rhapsody's already working on that one. Cool. I'm sure the more I backtrack, the more little film or emotes I'm getting here. All right, let's take a look at this. Nice. I'm loving the kind of like expression of speech that we get off of these. Like, look at that. That's freaking cool. Oh, that little bit of lens flare, like little bit of lens flare here. That's at the end there is super good. Oh, oh my god, I love it. That's a good render. Let's take. Okay, now let's hop back ourselves over to Pika Labs here. Okay, so we have our first render here. That's not a very good one. We're gonna retry this one a couple times. It will also help if I let me just kind of come into here a little bit. Under the advanced options here. Nope. Okay, yeah. We don't have we would have to downgrade to version I think 1.0 or 1.5 in order to change like frame rates and stuff, but we'll be doing all that in After Effects. No big deal. I'm gonna re-render this one 3 times, and then we will grab a couple more from down here. And we have to actually set up a story here and do all that stuff too. So we'll get all that going. I just wanted to get a couple renders out first, and then I'll start breaking down how I got to where I did with the comic. So let's see here. Fractal Bob already posted, I imagine, which will be a reference or something he's working on. So we'll see that. So I set up with the vertical video, right? Rhapsody ran this one, and it's interesting. It's interesting to have the vines and stuff moving on there. I do like this one a lot more though, because it makes sense, right? There's like some oddness with the mummy's fabric bleeding off the edge. But let me see about the wide angle one that I had set up here. So this is the one with the same prompt, just done much wider to kind of fit a more film aspect ratio. So let's go with, I think the second and the fourth one are probably the best out of these. And okay, so we got this here. 1 and 2. So I imagine 2 will give us the most focus on the character, and sorry, this first one here will give us the most focus on the character, and we can kind of get it to focus on animating him or her. But when it comes to this one, I see more of a parallax potential where we kind of slowly zoom in and the reads start opening up. So I'm gonna say that let's go with this second one here. We'll save this. I'm not even going to worry about upresing it or nothing. I'm just going to run this. And we'll say that this is a slow zoom in and animated film. Why not? We'll just say those 2 for now and then drag that into here. I'm sure I can drop doesn't work right there. So we'll hit image and then grab it in desktop. Boop. And then submit. Let's take a look at our other renders we got with the demon walking towards camera here. It's a little better. The wings are like, yeah. Hey. Pika Labs is not free. Sorry. That's why we're actually doing it here, so you can submit your stuff, and we'll just burn my account. They gave me 1,000,000 credits, so I'm for you guys. So we're just gonna let this go. But man, is it not understanding Festus's face from this image? It's just there's too much going on. I mean, murkiness in the original image, I think. And yeah, it's a bit stiff. It's a bit stiff. I'm not a big fan of these results. But we'll see how the others come out. I actually have the Necromonica results. All you can see how many of them it took for me to get there. These are the 4 images that I used. I'll zoom in here so we can start breaking down the comic here. So there is some absolutely incredible results I got off of these images here, but I need to kind of dig through them with you guys. So we'll just start to kind of zoom in here. You could see that I got her basically kind of moving a little bit in this image, but if I now start to go to the other ones here, 3-hour wait time on Kling, ouch. Yeah. So you can see a lot of these results are not very usable, or they add a lot of extra data that I don't want, right? Like as she walks out, like look at the rest of the living room. It's very cool, and I'm definitely getting something that like I could maybe use 1 or 2 of those frames for a moment, but for the most part, I was you can see it just adds a lot, and I had to kind of take it down a notch to do. So what I ended up using is a lot less intense than most of the stuff that Pika Labs gave me. This is all 2.0. But I do want to find one result that was here that really emphasizes to me the potential of what we got here, okay? So you can see this is where she's like pulling herself out of the TV, and I was like, oh, I'm getting somewhere. I think I even used some of the blowout effect from this result. I don't like how I can't get to the other videos when I've rendered it too many times. It's too big. But you can see here's where I actually took frames of the pulling out, I believe. Yeah, just her standing up. I only used the first second and a half of this clip. Let's see about some of the other ones here. Anything that revealed her face, I instantly ditched. I was like, nope, don't want it. But we did get some cool flame effect at the end there. All these ended up being parts, basically. A lot of parts for this. So I'm trying to find one in particular that really blew my mind, but I didn't end up using. See, look at that. You recognize this from the comic? I specifically did low exposure and flashed this one a bunch and cut it off early so that you don't see her bad knee, you don't see the bad fingers. Like there's a couple of things that I cut around in order to avoid the little bit of AI slop in here. But this is definitely one of the ones that I used. And then let's come into here. Yeah, this is the other one that I used. In fact, these were back to back. So you can see I didn't use the end of the clip, but it inspired the low exposure. And that's how I was able to get the colorization there for that. And didn't use this one, but again, like she breaks out of the television frame, so it was complete. That was useless to me. This one I used only the first start of this one, but I really liked how she crawled, like falling out of the TV. I just really liked this result. It was like she got tired. It just made me laugh, but didn't end up using that one. Oh, this is it. This is it. Look at this, guys. This one blew my mind. Just absolutely blew my mind. I was like, there's so much potential off of this result right here. I just wish she was holding the Space Jam DVD or VHS. If she was holding the Space Jam VHS during this, I probably would have used this clip. But it is a ton of fun to take the panels that are have the most potential for cinematic in your stories and then run those through Pika Labs and seeing what you get. So I was really happy with this. I just really wanted to show that one to you guys. So let's take a look at the result and look at that. Okay, exactly as I described, a slow zoom in of an animated film. And what I really like about this is that one strip of fabric that's hanging there is believable, right? It's believable, and it's not like melting or dripping off of him. It's blowing in the wind that the smoke's coming from. And just like I thought, it would create a parallax effect because the background and the foreground are overlapping as they are. So we got a really cool effect off of this one. Uh, and it's just a nice shot. You're right, I troll for you. It just is. So if we wanted to adapt this character, it even does a little blink at the beginning here. That's really cool. Look, it's like closed eyes and then opens up the eyes. That is such a cool effect. I love this. Okay, so let's see what else that you guys have been doing, and we might expand off of that one for my troll for you because that was just really cool. Ooh. He has multiple joints that are wrong, but that's funny.
I love how the second one, the first one looks like he's about to sit down.
Yeah.
He's really happy about it.
That's great. Yeah, let's take a look at that one again. Huh? Oh. He has the joint in the arm though is because of the brace on his arm. It has to like navigate that around, but it's a great result though. Um ooh,
Very cute.
very cute. Did you want to make the prompt battle announcements? I totally forgot about it on the last stream all the way to the very end. You were like, no, 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 no. I
Yeah,
mean,
perfectly cut scream. Um, yes, I will do that right now.
sure.
Let me get my linky link. My linky link. So, hey guys, on Saturdays and Sundays here on Midjourney, we do a thing called prompt battles. And it's a game where we all prompt images at the behest of other people. We do that for 10 minutes on the clock, and then we uh, come back with our images and we vote on them. And then whoever wins that vote, they get to win a free fast hour. And that fast hour is money in Midjourney land. Um, This is a link to the event. We do this on Saturdays and Sundays, and I hope you show up. You can get fast hours just for participating. You get to meet new people. You get to learn how to prompt things that you didn't think you would before. Everybody is really, 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 really nice and helpful, and it's a great community that we have here, and you get a chance to talk to them in a non-stage event kind of way. You don't have to talk at all. Some people stay all day and never speak a word. They just type in the chat. Some people stay all day and don't say anything ever. Um, but it's whatever makes you comfortable. You know, we want you to be comfy. And um, what else? We do it Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays we do it earlier, and Sundays we do it. No, I'm sorry. Saturdays we do it later, and Sundays we do it earlier. But if you look at those links, it'll tell you what time exactly in your neck of the woods. I am the game master there, and I would love to have you. You can absolutely win fast hours to have after the relaxathon is over because Midjourney wants you to prompt and be happy. Right, kids? I'm gonna let Victor come back on the
Oh well,
microphone now.
thank you, Kinky.
Bye
Appreciate
bye.
that. Bye.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Yeah, and if you guys do want to join that, it's actually I can finally do this now. Thanks to Rhapsody, by the way, I can finally point at things. So I'm gonna point at that thing. If you if you click on interested up here, right, that little interested button over there. You can join the event just like this one, and it's just a great way to be notified whenever these kind of things. And it's just fun for me to be able to actually point at things. So I had to do
I totally
it.
appreciate that. I will give you every chance that I can to give you an opportunity to point at stuff.
Yes, exactly. I just want to be able to keep using this. This is too fun. But all right, let me turn that off for now. There you go. Okay, cool. All right, we have a couple more renders here of Gompasta's character. Let's take a look. Any sort of slow wind has a lot of potential because it means that we can ramp it in After Effects. So we'll get into all that later, a little later towards the stream, towards the end of the stream. I mean, and the reason why I say towards the this result's great. That's awesome. I love the fluttering of the leaves in the background too. That's great. Retiming and revamping inside of After Effects is how you take these rather raw renders and turn them into something that actually could be useful as a cinematic moment. But when it comes to that's pretty fun. when it he's being thrown in a time portal. Ah! Yeah, when it comes to some of the especially like there's just a lot going on inside of these shots. We could take advantage of that and cut it out, basically cut like retime it so that either it's longer or shorter depending on the action that's in the shot. It's pretty cool. Let me see if we got okay. We got a couple more from Rhapsody here. Let's go through these first. Ooh, yes. Uh, any sort of like floating ship or castle, I am all down for. That looks great. That's awesome. Um, okay, let's see here. The manta, giant fish. Okay, cool. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to make something a bit of like an add-on to it so we have something to work with in After Effects because right now we have a bunch of random clips from you guys, which is a fun start, but I want to make something that kind of tells a little bit of a story, okay? So in order to do that, we are going to take our render from I Troll For You and we are going to add on to it. So if I now hop ourselves over to the Midjourney account that I have here, let's reload this. I want to find I Troll For You's image here, the one with the, yeah, this one here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to expand off of this and see if we can turn this into a storyboard. Because a storyboard is kind of like the pre-visualization of a movie. And we can effectively get Midjourney to try to recreate a storyboard panel or a storyboard layout for this based off of this initial image. And so I'm going to go to Editor, hit editor, and now I'm going to expand out as if there are 4 of these frames. We could do 2, but I'm going to do 4 just to get us started. And I'll make sure that where I crop them, I use the cropping handles, right, to resize it as actually a way to give me my gutters. So like here's a gutter for between panel 1 and 3, and here's a gutter between 1 and 2 is actually the cropping handle on Midjourney. It's just an easy way for me to visualize it, so I have plenty of room for the additional panels. And now I'm going to say that this is let's do multiple frames of an animated film depicting, and then keep the rest of the prompt the same. And the reason I'm just going to keep the rest of the prompt the same is just because I haven't really set up a premise for this guy, right? Or this person yet. We're just going to see what Midjourney gives us with this. We could also ask for multiple comic panels, but again, that might introduce speech bubbles and all sorts of other things that would have to be manually removed before we can do that. So let's take a look at what we got here. With the character reference left on, we basically get the same image twice, like overlapping, because if you look at what the image is here, that's the character reference, right? And CREF is so strong that these results are almost identical, right? So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into the editor again, and this time take away the character reference entirely, and then hit submit. And we're going to see if that will encourage the multiple panels to show up. If not, we can use we could even use a mood board that encourages comic panels in order to force this sort of storyboard. But I want to see what we get off of this by default, and it might be actually the style, yeah, the profile code that's encouraging the framing like this. So let's go even farther. Let's edit this again, because these results here are again more just expanding out from the scene as opposed to getting 4 individual panels. So let's go ahead and hit editor, and then I'm going to get rid of the profile code on here. Because the profile code, if it doesn't include any panels or anything inside of that mood board, then it's not going to give us results that will lean towards the direction I'm going for here. So we'll first get rid of that. We might even get rid of Niji just to see what we get. I'm still getting a lot of the same. I'm still getting a lot of just expanding out into guys sitting, which is understandable because of what's written in the prompt. So let's eviscerate this even more. I'll go ahead and that P code will not help creating comics. Yeah, I bet it won't. But instead, I'm just going to say multiple frames of an animated film. and then we'll hit submit on this. I usually get the best results by reducing my prompts heavily when I am expanding, just to give Midjourney the most amount of diversity off of this, and we're getting there in terms of getting this character to kind of move around the shot a little bit. So now they're kind of standing in darkness here, that kind of thing. So let's see if I can get this to actually get us multiple frames. So let's see, multiple panels. Let's do multiple panels of an animated film, and then I'll hit submit on this and see what we get. If this might be one of those use cases where I have to really force the multiple panels in order to get the results that we're aiming for here, but we'll see what we get. Okay, yes. This is what I was aiming for. Okay. So if we look at some of these results, we start to get these square panels of different scenes that expand off of this character. So at this point, I could either like drop in a low character weight and see if we're able to force this to even more like focus on this character. But I really want to see, do any of these really encourage what I'm looking for here? Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm kind of shooting at the hip here, guys. So let's go ahead and edit. And instead of going for 4 panels, let's go for 2 panels and go vertical, because the problem is expanding down is kind of encouraging that this is a what do you call it? Like a continuation of this shot. So I'm going to go for just a vertical panel here, and then I'm going to specifically say I want 2 panels of an animated film. We can even say 2 screenshots. 2 screenshots of an animated film, and then I'll also do one without Niji as well. And see what Midjourney gets inspired just based on the neighboring image that's there. And because I have it cropped in this way, it is going to encourage a different composition, because it's not as inviting as saying, "Hey, look at the floor, look at the feet," that kind of thing. And we have now the character standing like face front. We have a couple different angles. Ooh, okay, all right. So this is the kind of thing I'm aiming for, is just a nice clean line that starts to separate these two moments. We have something coming off of the mouth here that could be interesting to play with. So let's go ahead and do that. So I am going to in-paint the mouth here, and let's just say that, okay, this little moment here inspired, I'll just say and look, this is all because we didn't use Niji, by the way. So I'm going to say that this is a screenshot of an animated film. Let's do 4 screenshots depicting a purple rose growing out of the mummy's mouth. And I'm going to see if that will just encourage a close-up of a mouth with this mummy here. So we'll see what we get. We have close-ups of the rose. I was hoping that we would get an open mouth here, but I'm not seeing it right now. But we definitely have 4 panels here, which is really, really encouraging. So I can now hit editor here, and we can start to set up this last panel here. In fact, I'll undo this. Let me do the top one here, because we already have these 4. We can now that we basically have everything laid out here, I can give the last premise of this moment. So we could say that this is a close-up of mummy's mouth, deathly howl. I did not spell howl right. Did I spell it right? Let's see. Hold on. Just a sec. Got a spell check. Okay, no, I spelled it with an E. There you go. Boop. Okay, so deathly howl, and we'll just see what we get off of that right off the bat. But I'm oftentimes expanding off my results like this in order to see neighboring imagery that might complement or work with whatever project I'm doing. Um, it's a handy way to kind of okay, yes, this is what I was going for here. Just kind of like and just this having the flower get born out of the mouth. Okay, that's kind of what I'm aiming for here. So I'll say here that this is now just 4 panels, trying to encourage this to lock down a little bit here. We got to get rid of this one and this one. There we go. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure that it really knows that this is 4 panels because we're going to split this up after this. And we'll do it like this is like the death of like a great lich or whatever, and that lich is like the flowers that are like throughout the world, right? And people like I love little like MacGuffins like that, right? Where it's just like little visual things that help us tell that there's a greater story going on. And so when it comes to this result here, look, because I redrew that line, we now have a nice clean vertical line on at least 3 of these results. So I'm going to go with this. I'll go with this result here because we have a nice clean line on all 4 of these panels. I'll up-res this one. And now we will use these 4 to start to tell our story. And see what Pika Labs starts to interpret this as. If we really want to encourage that final result to show the flower going through the mouth, we can come into the editor here and start to draw that in there. So let's go with this. And let's just say that there is a purple flower born, or just say purple flower in the mouth of the skull. And you'll notice that I am not using Niji here. This is something that I see a lot of people getting stuck on, is that they stay within the Niji parameter when they don't necessarily need to, because you already have your anime aesthetic inside of the first result. You get a better understanding of things like construction and composition within 6.1. So things like this, asking for things like I need multiple panels, I need a video, I need a whatever, it will not apply that anime aesthetic, like anime limited data set to it. So you get a lot more control, in my opinion. But the results are also can have the larger potential to look worse because you're asking for a much wider data set there. So let's just see what we got off of this mouth flower here. I'm curious if any of these actually gave us the flower. Nope, we will make that inside of Photoshop. That's all good. That's easy. So let's get the up-resed versions. We have this one and this one. So let's see, which one's better? I'm going to say that the creative is better for this. Okay. And now I'm going to copy this over and we will bring it into Photoshop in order to make it easy for me to crop these out. And we have a ton of other videos. I don't think Pika Labs does the start and end frames. They do ingredients. So if you want to like more like character referencing, where you're giving parts of your film and just letting it assemble them, as opposed to giving a literal starting frame, they do that. But I haven't seen an ending frame. I really want an ending keyframe. That would be amazing. But what I'm going to do here is, now that we have this 4-panel result where all of the images are related to each other because we basically spun off of this initial result, I can now crop this down to 4 individual files. So let's go do the cropping tool. Let's bring this up to this frame here and that frame here. Okay. And I will export all of these here. So export 1. Let's go desktop and say purple 1. Then I'll just use the moving tool and start to move inside of this frame here. Crop this out. Now the aspect ratio is not perfect. You probably want to go in and fix that up for yourself. But for now, I'm just going to get all 4 of these exported, and we will clean up any minor details as we're going with this. We already have the first panel done because we exported that earlier as like a whole frame. As an earlier render. So we don't need that, and it's a higher quality off of that. So I'm not really going to worry about exporting that third frame. But let's go ahead and could you also do a slash show of the image in VC Create if you have the time? Are you talking to me or somebody else? I troll for you. Oh yes, you. Okay, cool, cool. So let me do that real quick then. What he's asking for, by the way, is he wants that image. Yes. What I'm gonna do is hop ourselves over to the Midjourney app here. Where are you? Come on. Whoa, there it is. That's right. Okay. And I will just grab the slash show for this. So what you do is you go to more and then copy and then the job ID here. If you copy the job ID, you can then bring it to any Discord. So we're going to now bring ourselves to VC Create. And oh my God, there's so much stuff for you guys. We're going to get through all that. If we do slash show, and then paste the job ID into there, you will then be able to bring your results from one server to another. So there you go. We have our 4 results here for you guys to download. And this is the high-res version, so you go nuts, go nuts. You can use individual parts of this as a character reference. So, for example, if you wanted that flower, you can use the flower as a character reference and be able to get that consistent within your images. But this is how you can expand off your results and start building off of them. So now that I have all 3 of these exported, at least I should. I'll double check really quick. Export purple 3. Yeah, I just need to make the third one. Okay, so we have the character slow zooming inside of Pika Labs here. So I'm going to now take these 4 results and where did that go? Hold on a second. Where's Pika Labs? There it is. Okay. Okay, so I have the slow zoom here, right? Let's now start to build off of this moment. We can come into here, delete this, and then we are going to grab the let's do the second frame here, and say that this is a let's just say like a moment of death for the Lich Mummy. Not describing anything from the scene here. I'm just curious what this is going to do with it by itself. But I'm going to hit enter on this. And then we will start to describe the other shot here. Let's go into here. Oops, I did not want to prompt that. How do it can't cancel? No, that's okay. We'll go to image. And then I'm going to grab the purple flower. And I'm going to say that this is the petals of the purple flower fall off as it dies. We're going a little depressing today. Why not? Why not? And then let's see here. We also can take that last frame now. And if we really want to give direction here, we would bring it into Photoshop and combine the flower result, this result here, and the result that we had with the mouth being open. So let's do that really quick. Go to my desktop here, grab the close-up of the mouth file. Okay. And now I'm just going to, I'll use object select for this one. Object selection. Okay. And then also grab the petal of the flower here. Just doing this really loosely, really quick. Oops. Something like this. I'll create a mask around that. There you go. And now I can drag that layer to the mouth file here, or just the open mouth here. Edit, flip horizontal, rescale that. Something like this, maybe. Yeah. I'm liking that. And now we'll just get rid of kind of the riffraff that's on there. And I'm just going to use my pen for that. Oh, I do not have the right thing open for you guys. My bad. Tablet. There we go. Okay, so the only thing I did was I took the flower, I isolated around it, I created a mask around it using object select. Is yes, this entire stream is recorded and uploaded to YouTube. So if you want to see your username pop up on YouTube, just feel free to chat with us. But if you what I did here is I isolated the flower, and then I brought that flower into that frame here so that we can start to position it in a way that tells this little teeny story that I made up really quick here. The death of the lich. And we will use the masking tool, make sure we have black selected, and we will just start to draw out anything we don't want from this frame. Something like this. That should be good. And if we really wanted to emphasize that this is like the vines of this plant, we probably want to add some highlight or rim light to the actual stem, right? Because right now this is all lost in darkness. So I'm just going to draw in the outer edges of this plant's vines really quick, just to kind of give us something for Pika Labs to understand. Oh, it's coming out of his mouth, that kind of thing. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring this in like this, something like that. I'm just drawing this in with my tablet. Highly recommend you guys, everybody here gets a tablet. I don't care if you can draw or not. That doesn't matter. You get a tablet. Just get it. It's a much better input device for your computer anyway. So now we have, coming out of the mouth is this flower. We can always now reposition this. I just realized I forgot to steal a smaller tablet from work. If we wanted to, we can reposition this to be a little more obvious that it's coming from his throat as opposed to anywhere else. So let's go with something like here. And I want to get rid of that. Like, the thing is that there's nothing wrong with editing your images as needed, okay? So like right now, I just moved this and you see that there's this kind of darkness that's behind the leaf here. That will confuse things. So I'm just going to come into here, highlight over this, and then I'll use Photoshop's infill or genfill in order to, without prompting anything at all, just going to use Photoshop genfill by itself to basically do an intelligent fill on this. How many AI tools are we using today? All of them. We're going to use all of them today. Every last one of them, except Sora. So like we have all of these here. Okay, so now I like that one. That gives us a nice clean silhouette between the flower and the background. That should work. I do want to get rid of whatever flower is kind of up here hiding in the corner because it's just kind of taking away from the eye. Like it distracts us. So let's do that. And Mousy Bear, yes, we're doing every one of them today. Every AI tool imaginable will be used today. So I'm just going to come in and finish up this image. I don't like this flower next to his head either. So let's just genfill that out too. I love using genfill without writing a prompt. As soon as you write a prompt, it's terrible. As soon as you write a prompt in Photoshop has like the worst genfill or like the worst in painting tools in my opinion. It's only good if you don't write anything. If you do write something, I highly recommend including an image prompt with it. That makes it way more usable. But at least I'll move myself out of the way to show this. We probably want the one that completes the head the most, so let's go with this one. I like that. Okay, all right, we have our shot here. We have the flower being born out of his mouth, and we can finally look at what this is going to look like inside of Pika Labs. So let's export this and say that this is version 2 of this with flower. Okay. And now I will bring ourselves to Pika Labs. Okay, so we have our initial test renders that we have of first off this kind of close up of the mummy, which is just focusing on his flowers, and yeah, there's not really anything going on in this one. And then we have the flowers by themselves, and that's doing as I described. I mean, petals of the purple flower fall off as it dies. That is definitely accurate. So this could be an ending shot. It's something like that at least. But now I'm going to upload the version that I had just made here. So let's grab this, refresh. Okay. Oops. There we go. So we're going to say that this is opening, say like the flower grows from the decrepit mouth. Decrypted. I'm going to just say from the mummy mouth. And we'll go from there. We need Pika Kingly Way. Yes, we do need a Pika Kling hybrid baby. I actually haven't messed with Kling at all. I'm curious to hear your all's experiences. I know that since Pika Lab 2.1 came out, people have been going, "Oh, it's finally beat Kling." So I'm curious what your all's take is on that. I'll open up the chat for you guys so we can see. Anyone here have experience with Kling? I'm curious to see, especially if you have experience with Pika Labs 2.1 and Kling. I want to hear about it. So post inside of VC text. Actually, I meant to say Kling and Luma. Oh yeah, and there's also Luma. There's so many AI tools.
I have like full memberships to all of them, except for Runway. Probably gonna get that one back next month.
Wow. Yeah, I can't keep up with all of them. I need to. I definitely rely on you guys to tell me which way to go, which way the winds are leaning lately. I think people go kind of crazy, honestly, when they try to keep up with this stuff too intently. Just use whatever tools you have available to you. You know.
Yeah, I'm good at running out of credits though. Like I constantly run out of Pika credits,
Uh huh.
like instantly. And then I get real mad because I'm like, if I can't finish anything, what's the point? And but then I like, I mean, like the highest subscription, so it's like I don't know. But then I also have like, I have Minimax, which is also Halo. They're the same thing, and I have an unlimited there, which is great. Except it's like, you don't have as much control, but it's really prompted here, and it's very emotional. It does emotions really, really well. Uh, like I also use Runway because Runway does. Why do I keep saying Runway? I mean to say Luma, and Luma does the start and end frame. They're doing a lot. They also have a new version that's lightning fast and does beautifully. Um, Arms are a little weird, but it does a really good job. Um, which I use like second, and then I have and but the Runway, but the Luma, not Runway, and Halo you can get unlimited memberships on, and that's why I especially use those.
Yeah, I mean, if Midjourney didn't have relax mode, I'd use it a lot less. That's what I know, for sure. It
Oh,
makes.
Kling was the one that I was trying to think of. Kling has the has another membership that's not unlimited, but I always run out of credits on it.
I see. All right, let's check out some of these renders that we got here. And then I'll read your all's reviews. Actually, I should read that first. Let's see. Gompasta said, "For my experience, Pika has great potential quality, but Kling feels more consistent and prompt control." Nice, thank you for that. Uh, let's see here. Trying to get into Kling with a Halo AI. I don't know how to pronounce it actually. Hello. But I'm still getting the hang of things. Yeah, if anyone can tell me how to pronounce that correctly, Halo. Like I feel like I'm saying hello to a Hawaiian person. Halumi,
I say Haluo, and
Heluo.
that's because that's how I've heard it the most.
I see. Okay, all right. Let's take a look at this now. So we have a couple different renders here. Um, it's interesting to see the flower like born, but then it gets so much brighter in the shot. We might have to do some color balancing if we really like that shot, but it's usually better just to re-render things. So let's see. It's just kind of moving. Um, let's actually ask for the reverse of this. This is another trick that I'm going to show you guys that I used also in the comic. Sometimes asking for the reverse of the footage that you want lets you then reverse it in the program that you're doing your editing with, because that will let you be able to direct the shot and be able to effectively double the length of your renders, because you're asking for a reverse on one that you can then basically set up the shot with. So let's try that really quick. So I'm going to hit reprompt. And now I'm going to say that this is let's say a flower recedes into the mouth of the mummy. Recedes into the mouth of the mummy. And then we'll hit enter on that. And what I'm trying to do is to essentially get footage of the flower coming out of his mouth, but because we only have the end frame of the flower already out of his mouth, we are effectively trying to create reverse footage that I will then reverse that footage to make it straight, make it linear to time, like how we have it at least visualized here. That was a bunch of word jumbles. My bad. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see if we can get this to work, because I think that we can immediately start to tell the story of the next great lich, and then make it some cute little character that shouldn't be so demonic looking. I think that would be really fun. Maybe something picks the flower or whatever, and that suddenly bestows all the lich's powers onto that person. Something like that. I would love to tell a little story like that. But we'll see if we're able to get the flower to come out of the mouth here. And if not, then we'll just move on and figure out something else. But there's a ton of renders from you guys while this is going, so I really should check out some of the stuff you guys have been doing. Look, it's Victor. Okay, so you said you used the editor, so I had to upload. That's awesome. Yeah, it's so cool to use the editor to bring multiple characters into the frame. Ooh, you got Festus here? Oh my god. Okay, yes. Festus becomes the next lich. That'd be funny. So let's take a look here. Ooh, I can see Rhapsody was already working on that one. Let's take a look at some of these renders. Okay. Yeah. Festus talking to the Lich. Nice. And this is actually a good example too. I'll probably end up compositing these two together, because I want to show you guys the potential of what we can do when it comes to taking multiple of these renders, because there's a lot of cool stuff that's happening with the smoke here, but the characters aren't moving at all. That's actually really good, and I'll just already download this because I feel like this is a good demo of this. All right, let's take a look at some of the other renders. This one's from Jeff. Rhapsody made it, but Jeff rendered it. Cool. And this is also what I mean, by the way, when it comes to like certain results are more painterly than others. How is it going to interpret that as footage unless like it's given like a setup that makes sense for the background, like all that sort of stuff? It's a lot harder for it to understand stuff that doesn't have the premise of a film or animated. Like this is going to be great. Like this will set up way better. This looks like a mob is about to come. And it's a vampire invasion story. I see. Nice 1980s style animation. Let's see. Yes. I imagine that you did this. Okay. And you could see it's just a lot better about understanding, like, okay, what is the actual context of what's happening inside of these shots. So I like this a lot more. There's definitely some wacky stuff, but that's the whole point of this, is that we're digging into what is the potential of like what's in these images, and then finding the gold that's there. And especially if you have an intent in mind already, right? You can definitely get a lot more direction out of this. So let's see here. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to grab this in Pika. Let's see if we have this reverse footage. Yes. That's what I want. That's what I want. Okay. All right. Let's download this for now. And I'm going to retry this a couple times. Whenever I get a good result, I can't help myself but be like, do that again. The guy was craving delicious roses. Right. Exactly. Okay. So while we got that going on, we're going to load up a program I don't normally load up for you guys very often on the stream here, because it tends to be a little bit of a CPU hog, or a GPU hog, either or. I don't know which one it takes up more, but it definitely takes up something. The only program I will not run for you guys here is Premiere because it bogs down everything that I'm working on here. So let's go ahead and open this up. It is After Effects, and I'm just gonna hit New Composition. And I really don't like that Photoshop really wants to tell not Photoshop but Adobe wants to say my real name on my project account whenever I load up After Effects. So that's fun. That's a fun thing to know. Let's go ahead and start this composition. I don't even need this actually. Let's go ahead and hit new composition from footage. So let me open this up. I have to do this without you guys looking at it first because, like I said, my real name is at the top of freaking After Effects right now. So let me go to desktop, grab this flower, and figure out why it's looking the way it is. Hold on a second. Come on, open up proper. You got this. You got this, Photoshop. You can do it. Okay. Adobe finally did it. It finally figured it out. Okay. So let me open this up now. Tablet. There we go. Okay. All right. So I have After Effects open here. Here's the footage of the flower getting. Right now he's getting eaten. Right. So what we want to do is we want to reverse this footage in order to make it usable for our intent. So I'll right click it and then hit time and then time reverse layer. That will very simply reverse the footage. So now we have the flower basically getting born, and we can start to mess around with other shots or preserve this composition and replace the footage of it later if we get a better version of this. So I already have the 4 renders, so we could take a quick look at that. Let's see here. We got 1. Yeah, it didn't really do what I wanted. 2. It's a nice smile at the end there, but nope. Oh, he's sad. Okay, all right. So it looks like that first render is. We're gonna just work off of that first render. That's totally fine. But we do have the 2 from Rhapsody that we can mess with as well. So let's do that really quick. Come into tablet. Okay. Let's take the 2 bits of footage that Rhapsody had rendered. Let's see, downloads. Where did they download? Let's see. This one and this one should be the 2. Yep. Okay, so at least within After Effects, it's really easy to make a composition that matches the video just by dragging and dropping it onto the composition button. So we'll take whatever footage we're using and then come over and drag it on top of the composition button. Boom. What this does is it not only sets up the video to be like the length of the compositions, the video, all that sort of stuff, but more importantly, it sets the composition settings to match the video. So you could see that although I was told that this is 1920 by 1080, it is not 1920 by 1080. It is 1776 by 1184. So that was entirely probably because the aspect ratio of this shot is not perfectly 16:9, so it fudges it, but it is certainly HD. It is certainly large enough to be HD, so that's great. But dragging and dropping the composition most importantly preserves the frame rate of the video and the resolution of the video, so you don't have to manually set these things up. So we'll just hit OK on that. And now that we have this footage, let's take the other footage and then layer that on top of this one. Okay. So now we have this footage and it's the same layer. Hold on. Let me get the other footage. Boop. Okay. Now we have the original footage and now we have the other clip on top of it. Okay. So you can see that there's like some blue like leaves that fly up. The movement of the characters is a lot more dramatic in this one, but the smoke is not really like it's more like a liquid, like it just kind of sticks around. But in the other clip, the smoke is flowing away, right? Like it's like almost like Festus like teleported appeared and everything's blowing away from him. I like the smoke more in this one, but I like the rest of the action in this one. Okay? So, we are going to use After Effects to merge these 2 together. Okay? So, I will keep both layers on so we could see them. But now I am basically just going to isolate what parts I like from each bit of this footage here. I'm not a big fan of the blue leaves going up. That will be kind of a hassle to clean up later. So I'm not going to worry about those, but I definitely want to preserve the character movements here. So we will make a mask. So we will use the pen tool here. And I'm just going to mask one character here, like so. And then mask the other character, like so. Okay? And we want to look at the edges, like before we do any fine tuning of this, we want to look at the edges of the mask to see how much, like, you know, how nasty these edges are, these masks here. So we can see that as the smoke is flowing around, it doesn't flow close to him, right? So we get these hard lines around him, okay? So in After Effects, what we end up doing is, first thing we're going to do is we're going to hone in the mask a little bit. We're going to kind of bring that in and make sure it still encapsulates him. But we want to kind of come in here and make sure that anything that gives us a bit of a hard edge right off the bat, we're at least incorporating or holding on to that inside of this mask. So we have this here, we have this. I'm going to bring this in just a little tighter, okay? And we'll bring this down just a little bit. Okay, so now we have this here. And if I click off the layers, I get rid of the mask lines so I can more easily see where these hard lines are. It's looking pretty decent, but you can see that because of the blue, we have a little bit of artifacting, but it's all good. What I'm going to do now is get rid of these hard lines by using a feather, okay? So let's go ahead and click on this here, open up that, and then we got to open up the mask here. Let's see. Now I will, we have, if I expand this out, you're going to notice that we now have both masks showing up here on the bottom of this timeline. What we're going to do is we're going to increase the feather on both of these masks, okay? So let's zoom in on one, and then I will come in and basically adjust the feather on these. So, in fact, my character is kind of blocking the view here, so let me get Victor out of here real quick. Where am I? There I am. Okay. So I'm just going to move myself over here. And flippity flip. Where are my flips? Where are my flips at? Flip horizontally. There we go. Okay. So if you notice here, we actually have a couple different tools inside of After Effects. Okay, so you see when I open this up here, we have mask path, mask feather, mask opacity, mask expansion. Okay, feather is what we're going to be focusing on the most here. And this actually lets us hone in exactly like how much bleed we have between these to where it seems like about 40 pixels is good. Okay, so if you notice now that hard line is basically gone. Okay. But you have to be careful. If your character breaks out of the mask at all, you're going to see that feather way more obviously, okay? So let's adjust the other feather. We have another hard line right here. So we can come into here, hit feather, and then adjust that feather out. And we are most likely going to have to tighten this mask pretty good because that smoke kind of comes up to the chair here. So what we can do is we can add a third mask just around that bit of the smoke here. So let's go for like something like this, okay? Oop. And basically just draw in a third mask, and then under that mask, we'll switch it from add to subtract. And that cuts it out here, okay? But most importantly, that additional mask that's here now lets us adjust this mask as having a its own feather. So I can now do a much softer feather on this one. So let's go for something like 7 or 8 on this, okay? Now, because I don't want to get over your guys' heads, I know that if I go too deep into this program, you guys are going to get lost. So I just want to adjust the feathering of these two shots so that my intent here was this. I want to have the smoke look like how it is in that one shot, but preserve the movement of the characters from the other shot. So let's see how this looks. And I just did exactly that. So we have the smoke now flowing around the characters, and the characters are animating within the shot. Okay, because in the original footage, the characters did not animate at all. It was just their motion here, or sorry, it was just the motion of the smoke. Okay, so now that we have this, the smoke moves a little fast. Okay, so why don't we slow it down? We can come into the layer here. We'd rather them right now just described by their seeds. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is describe each layer appropriately. So this layer, for example, the first layer is just the smoke. So let's describe that as the smoke layer. Hold on a second. Oops. So this one here we will rename to smoke, and then this layer we will rename to characters. Okay. And at this point, what I'm going to do is we're going to now grab the smoke layer itself, and then we will hit Control Alt T, which will open up time remapping. You can also do this just by opening up layer and then time, but we're going to go to time remapping, and what this does is it adds a keyframe on the start and the end of this layer. And what it lets us do is just drag this time out. So we can say, I'll actually just make this a little more obvious. I'll make the composition a little longer. So right now the composition is only 5 seconds. Let's make it 10 seconds. And you can see now I have a lot extra time that's on this timeline. And I'm just going to drag this out. This the bottom of the end, which is effectively doing is it's adding additional frames in between. And we can even put it under with frame blending. Let's see, frame blending here. We can put on pixel motion. And what this is going to do is it actually creates new frames in between wherever you stretched. Okay? So essentially it's motion smoothing. But now let's take a look at how the smoke looks with this. Boop, boop. And that suddenly looks so much better to me in terms of the flow of the smoke. But we can even go a little farther. So let me first just encapsulate that end cap here. So now we can come in. You see I have this keyframe here on the bottom right corner of my screen. I'll drag this out even more. So now we're basically at 50% speed. And we will hit enter on this. And that is so much better right off the bat. We are getting way better footage than we had earlier. And it's just from taking our favorite parts of each bit of the footage, right? So I when I was making the comic with Miles in Graceland, the main thing I was doing was I was taking my favorite parts of the portal and isolating those, right? So that I had like, the effects the way where I wanted them and how long I wanted them. And so, yes, I think that this is a really solid example to show you guys why After Effects is pretty essential for doing video compositing. At least from Adobe's suites. There's other programs out there too. Plenty of free ones. Can't really tell you or make you recommendations because I just don't have that experience. Okay, so my Pika froze up. Did it crash? I'm curious. We'll take a quick look at Pika really quick. Zoom and Pika. Okay, so we still have Pika live here, but let me refresh this. I accidentally ran this image. I accidentally ran this prompt without the image, by the way, which is this result right here. I haven't even taken a look at this. Nothing exciting happening here. Just the flame and a mummy. Is the mummy breathing? Yes, the mummy is breathing. That's hilarious. Okay. So let me do something really quick here. Ba-ba-ba. Okay. So at this point, I am okay. All right. So I'm going to see from the previous stuff that you guys have made here. Because I'm seeing a lot of videos from Rhapsody that we're going to have to dig into now. So let's take a look. Nice. Thank you for making the compilation. That's going to be fun to see. All right, so we got this. We got another one of Go Pasta's characters here. Nice. This is great. This is actually very usable. That's awesome. Ooh, we got one with Fungi Mancer's Crystal Dude. Nice. Yeah. The last like half second where it's just chaos in a lot of Pika renders is always kind of makes me giggle, right? Because it's like, are you trying to make a horror kind of shot or kind of a bit of a spook here? That's it. It always makes me kind of laugh. I can't link that. Probably just okay. Yeah, yeah. There is a list on GitHub of Adobe alternatives. Actually, let me grab that list really quick because I feel like a lot of people would benefit from that. Just a second here. Let me find that. Um, I'll open up the tablet so you guys don't see me just randomly googling things. But okay,
While you do that, I'd like to point out
go ahead.
that pa is going around so hard. Like I always do that when I'm thinking, and then the other day I heard Bert doing it, and I was like, "Oh my god, I do that too!" And I just heard you doing it, and I was like, "Wow, it's super contagious right now."
Oh my god, yeah.
Pa 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 pa
That, that
I
I,
do that
I do that all the
anytime
damn
I'm thinking
time
about
though.
something.
And it's my default like loading sound. Like
Mm-hmm.
mental loading. But
It
what I'm
wasn't Bert. I'm sorry. It was what's his name? Uh, the guy from gosh, what's his name with the cloud?
oh, a little angry.
Little Angry.
Nice.
Yeah, I
Um
heard him do it. I was like, I do that all the time, and like, I was like, what is it going through like uh this server? Is that where I got it? I've been doing that like too much. Sorry, I just wanted to
no,
pass the
that's
time by.
no, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It's certainly true that when it comes to like my random noises and stuff, I feel like somebody could probably make a compilation of that. Digging through all the YouTube videos. Um, but I do want to show one thing here, which is that yes, the alternatives. I found it here. Okay, all right. Just to answer for you for the folks like what is it? I'm just going through the list here really quick. Who was asking for the alternatives? Was it Draxler? No. It doesn't matter. Okay. The key thing here is that if I now open up the stage here for you guys, I'm gonna come into the VC text, and I am going to post the GitHub. So this GitHub is a list of every open source alternative to Adobe software. It's inside of VC Create. You're welcome to get right into it. So inside of this list is broken down by program, by the way, and also genre. So if you need Photoshop, painting, pixel art, Illustrator alternatives, animation alternatives, InDesign alternatives, so on and so forth. So if we kind of come through here and okay, so here are the recommended alternatives for After Effects. We have Natron, Blender. I highly recommend Blender. I have not used Vegas Effects at all. I've also not used any of the gaming engines like Unreal Engine or anything like that. So, but they all have these capabilities to do compositing and effects. So definitely check these out. And the at least in my experience, I the reason I stick with Adobe is just because it is all under one suite, one plan, easy for me to manage. But there's a lot of folks that are transitioning right now off of Adobe software. So lists like this are huge. It'll save you a ton of money to learn each one of these individual programs or find the one that makes sense for you. For example, for animation software, my partner used Toon Boom for years. It's what Family Guy was originally animated in. So if you open up Toon Boom, you'll be able to start making just like Family Guy, just like how Family Guy started with this software here. So just because they're free doesn't mean they're worse. In fact, they're probably better because they don't crash nearly as often as Adobe programs do. There is definitely worth checking out a bunch of these programs. So if you're ever like kind of frustrated with me whenever I'm talking about Adobe stuff too much, just go to this list. Okay, cool. At this point, we have we have a bunch of renders from Rhapsody that I'm sure that she's gonna collect for us all to check out here. We have a ooh yeah, this orc battle, little shooting orc with a gun. This is what I also mean by the if the results don't look like an animated film, they won't really render correctly as an animated film. So like this was the result here, right? Like this is what it looked like. Clearly an illustration, clearly like meant to be part of like a fantasy series book or anything. And then when you try to animate that, look at how much of the detail just goes away and becomes this kind of blurry mess, right? That's not just because it's this particular render, but it's also because the information we're giving it is not really conducive to a video. So we have all these expanded versions of this, but this feels much more like a graphic novel than a video. So let's go ahead and now take our footage that we have of this lich guy. Um, we have it in Pika Labs here. So you know what? Let's make the new composition in After Effects really quick. Tablet. Okay. We still have this footage rolling, by the way. If we wanted to get this to loop, we could easily repeat this composition, have a blur in between the first two and the last two frames, and make this a looping GIF. Right now, it doesn't loop; it actually has a solid end to it, right? But we would need to essentially reverse the very last bit of the footage to get his head to be in the right place at the end too. So I'm not going to worry about doing all that stuff. That's just a lot of fiddling. So what we're going to do though is we're going to take our footage uh, of this flower. Let's see. I have that as the other composition right here. Okay. And we were going to add that to the end of this footage. So I have my reversed footage here. I'll drop that into there, drag out my composition, and then we're basically just going to see how that looks right off the bat and then make our decisions from there. So you could see there's a lot of lag time in between some of the actions that happen with the flower here. So we can take advantage of that by essentially retiming this to only show the motion, the actual motion that we want. So any of this kind of stalled in the air stuff, we can get rid of with just time remapping. Okay. So I'm going to move Victor once again from this shot because I am blocking everything useful. I'll just put myself in the center here. Sure, why not? Okay, so we have this composition here. Now, if I hit Control Alt T, okay, we actually bring up that timeline again. But this time, instead of just crunching it to speed it up or expanding it to slow it down, what we're going to do is we're going to hit keyframes at every major moment of this bit of footage, okay? So we have the beginning. He opens up the mouth, and then the flower is there, okay? You can see we even have one or two bad frames. Like this frame here, we can cut this frame out entirely because it just snaps back down like that, okay? So we have, this will be the first frame of what we quote-unquote like here. So I'll hit Add Keyframe, and now I'll go to the next one, the next moment, which is right here, add keyframe. And then I will drag it until we find the next seed. Like this slow panning up, completely useless. We don't need any of that. Now what we want to do is we want to find we have that last moment here. And what I'm going to do is we probably will just do a hold frame because we really don't need any of this last minute stuff. But you see his jaw kind of closes up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find that moment. Let's go for like right here, right before that happens. And now I'm going to hit Add Keyframe. And now we find the moments in between that we want to crunch out. So let's say all this that's right here, we don't really need. but I want to preserve the falling of the flower. So I'm going to add a keyframe just to the start of that. Drag these every one of these keyframes that are after this moment, and we're basically just going to move this down to somewhere like here. Okay. And what that's going to do is it's going to rapidly move through the footage on just that little segment that I didn't want anymore. Okay. So we'll just drag that down. And then here there's that slow moving up of the flower. Let's first see how this looks by just dragging this in and crunching these two moments together. Okay. So if I now hit play on that, it is better, but it is still a little jarring. Like I don't like the rise of the flower here. So why don't we just cut out that moment entirely? And we can do that by just dragging these two keyframes and making them right next to each other. So we do get a jump cut here. There's a little bit of a jump right here. So let's add 2 frames to that. Okay. It's a little better. We might want to jar these two as separate them a little bit, but it's already like way better in terms of the action. So let's go ahead and see. I'll get rid of this frame here. So you can see the flower comes out and then it's this blurry mess. And then we have the flower. So we have to get rid of basically, let's go, because it's a little bit of a pop motion, right? Like this is something called, in animation, it's called anticipation, when you kind of make a character pull back a little bit before they throw themselves forward, right? So like if say like my character is like running and I'm about to make a jump, right? I could pull myself back and then jump forward. That's what anticipation is. I forgot what the name of the opposite of it is, like where you do the end of it, but basically what we want to do is we want to get rid of this little bit of anticipation here because it is just kind of a blurry mess. So let's go ahead and I'll do this by, I'm not going to crop it out. I'm going to just do this with the keyframing tool. So let's come in and say this one here, this keyframe. Find out that moment that we want to get rid of. So right there, add that keyframe. And now I'll just drag all these to be 1 frame away from that moment. There you go. Okay. That already flows way better for me. I want to make the jaw move a little sooner than what it does here. So we can do that by duplicating this layer and then have this only focused on the mouth. So wherever the mouth starts to move, so right here, we're just going to draw in a mask for this. Something like that. Because the whole head moves, let's also get the outside of the flower, or the head, the outfit here. And now I'm just going to get the timing of this right. So we have the mouth opening and closing here. I kind of want this to happen more like here. So why don't we drag this now to where the mouth starts to move. Okay. And we can see the flower actually dips down. So we need to drag this down to here. And now the motion is all jarred and broken like that, which is fine for now. You'll see why in a second. So we can open this up here. And now I'm going to crunch this to line up. So like we can have this open. That's where they line up right here. So we can bring these initial frames. So let's say right here. I'm going to drag everything that's before this to be higher up. There you go. Something like this. Okay. It's pretty broken. I need to kind of bring that in a little more. It's getting there, but I would need to do a little more fiddling with exact timing. Okay, that's already good. That's already much better. Let's see. I need to bring this one out just a little more. Because you see there's like a subtle shift in his head that's right here. That's going to annoy me. But what I can do now is take a look at how jarring this is in terms of the line separating these two moments. See, there's a little bit of separation here. I need to add a bit of a feather. Just a little feather. Let's do like 10. And although it's not perfect, I think the timing is better. So let's see how that looks. I need to keep my composition here. So let's see. There. just so that I'm able to only focus on this moment with you guys. There we go. Okay, so I want to make the jaw opening a lot longer here. So let's go ahead and find that moment. It's right here. Okay. And I want it to be like right around here. That, yeah, like right at the blur. That's where I want the mouth to start moving. So I'm going to now drag all this out to where we just see the mouth start to move. Probably drag this one out here a little bit. Basically, it's a lot of fiddling. It's a lot of fiddling. But I want the mouth to open uh, as the flower drops. We're almost there. Just that head movement at the end that's going to be a little jarring, but we can make it work. So you can see at the beginning here we got a bad mask, so we now need to crunch that back on in here. Let's go ahead and find that moment here. I think something like that should work. Ooh. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove everything from the start here. That. Now we've cut that all out. Yeah, there's still a little bit of weirdness on the bottom there, so I want to see if I can maybe get rid of that. Yeah, it's definitely going to take some fiddling for me, which is not that exciting for you guys to watch, I'm sure. But basically, I retimed segments of the footage until I'm happy with it, and then we get something out of that. But for now, I'm just going to mute this and then see what we got total here. Okay, so let me drag this out here. Here's the complete footage that we have so far. And we could have them talking with each other, and then he gives like some final message, and then the flower gets like born out of his mouth. So at this point, I want to find the other footage that we've rendered, and let's open up stage here. Let's see. What did you guys say? Generation error at the end is quite interesting conceptually, actually. Let's see. Whoa. Whoa. This one's pretty intense. Hard for me to open this up in the other program right now. It's a really great, what do you call it? Like a motion, like handy cam, like, yeah, like not stabilized footage. If you ask for not stable or whatever, I'm sure it'll give you some fun stuff like
Camcorder?
that. Camcorder. Yeah. I'm thinking more of like what do you call it when it comes to like shows like 24 and whatnot that were kind of famous for, or CSI that were famous for having way too much shaky cam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be very jarring for me. This it always throws me off in movies. Like, there's a couple of things that breaks me out of scenes in movies. My number one is blood on the lens of a camera. Whenever they show blood, like or any sort of debris or liquid or anything smacking the lens of the camera, it makes me go, oh, okay, so I'm watching. So there's a film crew in the middle of this scene that is recording this moment. It takes me out of the movie so bad. I do have a technical one that very rarely bothers other people, but it bothers the hell out of me, which is when you're looking through a character's eyes in a movie or a film and they see a lens flare through their own eyes. That makes no sense to me at all. A lens flare is a byproduct of lenses, like of the glass that is in your camera. Your eye will never see a lens flare by itself. So seeing that depicted always throws me off. I'm like, okay, yeah, you you don't know how this stuff works. Okay. But I'm gonna go back to the footage here really quick and see what other clips we can kind of drag into here. We have the flower spoken like someone without astigmatism. Okay, yes, I got LASIK done. Okay. Astigmatism, I definitely have had a blurred light and all that stuff. It was even worse after my LASIK for a while. But I will say this: that's not a lens flare. Like that's basically like an artifacting of light, yes. but a lens flare is very particular. It's the shape of the lens, right? It's the shape of the glass of the camera. So, like, yeah, when I see a character, like, I don't know, in a movie like Gladiator or something, where it's like, you're supposed to be looking through their eyes, and it's like there's a lens flare that blows out from the hill. Yeah, it bothers the crap out of me. Okay, all right. So if I take a look at this footage, we have this flower dying. I'm going to repeat this one a couple times. But I also, yes, the Star Trek films are so famous for having unnecessary lens flares. The modern ones, anyway. But what I want to do here is I want to take, let's reprompt this one, and we'll say that this is, uh, actually, I'm trying to think here what we should do here with this scene. I like the idea of essentially maybe Festus coming in and picking this flower, right? So we can probably prompt for that in a couple different places. Let's see here. Ooh, this is some fun stuff already. Um, Let me see. I need to grab Festus here. You know, I'm actually going to do this with my editor here. So let's do that. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba, ba. Go with the tablet. I'm going to grab the Midjourney editor. We have our foreshot that we had where I'm really happy with this. I think this is pretty cool. It's a little storyboard here. But we also need to grab Festus here. So let me grab his CRF really quick. And maybe we'll get into the character portal here too, because I figured there's a couple of new faces here. So I will introduce how we kind of organize all of our little stories and stuff. I keep running into the Rio thumbing up, and I'm loving it. I just love that random GIF popping up here. But let me. Hell, I'm just gonna search it. It's gonna be easier this way. Festus. Okay, I'll bring it up in the character portal. Let's do that. I'm gonna zoom on out here. We have on our server, on the Gnarly Studios server, we have a whole bunch of really useful stuff for you guys that are doing storytelling with Midjourney. We focus on characters here, but we also have a lot of different like tools for making comics, for making videos. All sorts of stuff is on this server, so I highly recommend joining it. You can join by going to VC Text and typing, and hitting the join button on our server here. So let me zoom on out here so you can see that. So if you scroll up, you'll see that it says joined, or that's because I joined it. But if you just hit that join button right here, we're almost at 2,000 members. So I would love to reach that number and then do like a little celebration thing with you guys. That'd be huge. I would love that. But by joining the server, you can. Thank you so much for linking that, Kinky. By joining the server, you can chat and hang out with us. But most importantly, outside of like getting to know folks and whatnot, and new tools, we also have a place called the character portal. So if you click on the character portal, you are able to submit your original characters and keep track of them as other users create stuff with them. It's kind of like you wake up the next day and someone has made a comic with or a video with your character. That's the potential here, is that we can kind of crowdsource our cartoons and animations and things just because people liked what you made and want to see it fleshed out. Okay, so submit your original characters here. You can see Victor is here. This is mine. And Zumster just uploaded this little like 360 spin of a 3D Victor. But there's so many submissions from you guys that I wake up to and I'm like, holy crap! Like this is the future of entertainment, honestly. To just wake up and have you guys making stuff with either my characters or your characters or whatever, and it's like our own little entertainment hub. It's amazing. But from here we can find Festus. So I'm going to just get out of Victor here, and we go up to the search up here, and we write Festus. And there he is, Festus Vilmer. And because the character was submitted, there's plenty of like backstory and things you're welcome to add. You don't have to. The only thing we ask is that you please include a CRF, like you include the actual code for your character. So we have the one here. including a recommended prompt of a demon wearing a white t-shirt. So now that I have this, I can copy that and bring it over to Midjourney, and we can start to like mess around with some of this imagery and Festus and see if we can get him to pick up this purple flower. So I will use this as a starting point. In fact, let's use the actual image we're using. So let's do the creative here. I'm going to do a remix strong, and then I'm going to paste the cref for Festus in here, and we'll say that he is picking a purple flower from the mummy's mouth, just to give us a setting up frame here. Let's see what we got here. We have to get rid of the text that's underneath the white, a demon man wearing a white t-shirt. I'm just going to get rid of that for now. And we'll just hit enter on this and see what we get right off the bat. Very, what is it? Remix Strong is ideal for creating new compositions. Very Strong, it does the same thing, but it just doesn't allow you to edit the prompt. It does have some additional function, like you'll get prettier or more interesting imagery if you use that, but you won't be able to edit it. So you probably want to use Remix Strong to change the composition. Variation Subtle or Remix Subtle, on the other hand, will try to preserve this composition the best it can. And I'm just curious what that's going to do, but it's probably not going to be that great for our intent here. So let's get rid of this. And we wrote a different prompt earlier, but I'm just going to hit submit so you guys can see what the difference is here. Lost voice audio. You guys lost voice audio? Can you guys
hear you?
Okay, all right. Okay. All right, good. I'm just making sure. If you guys do run into any technical issues, close Discord completely and reopen it. That is the easiest.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, leave and come back.
Yeah, especially if it's only one person that's giving you the issue, I'd recommend leaving and coming back. Okay. All right, so we have the variation strong and variation subtle. So let's see what we got here. We definitely have him picking, like reaching out to pick the flower, which is awesome. And there's the skull behind him more than like how we kind of, or at least how I'm anticipating or imagining it. So let's try to make this a little more. Let's add a little bit of a lower character weight just to see if we're able to get because the pose is almost right. It's almost there. But I'll click on the remix button up here. That brings me back to my prompt. I'll hit editor. Oh no, you're not disrupting. You're good. We will do variation strong as a remix again, but this time, in fact, I need to actually copy this prompt. So let me copy that over here. This one here. Copy. Use text. Okay. I'm just copying this prompt over because I'm going to now jump us back to that variation strong. Paste that into here. And of course, Festus is not in here. So let me grab Festus really quick. Copy that. Paste. All right. And now I'm going to add a character weight of 50 just to kind of see how much more flexible Festus is here in this scene. I'm curious if we can get him to basically be, like bent over, picking a flower, but I'm curious how much of a mouth we're able to get there. We'll see. Oh, Snoopy. I'm looking at that render of yours here. That's pretty cool. You did almost get it. You almost did get it. It's like, we judge you unworthy. It's so close. It's impressive. It's impressive what we're able to do just off of just raw renders. It's amazing. Okay. All right. So if we look at the results that we got off of this here, there we go. If we look at these results, we definitely have the skeleton version of him is pretty intense. These kind of mergers with character referencing is quite common. I'd like where you just kind of like have repeats of the same character. So what we want to do is probably grab from the pose that I think would work. So I think this one here, okay? And instead of using variation, just kind of re-rolling and hoping that everything works with this, I am actually going to now input the skeleton guy, the Lich, as the character reference for this in paint here. So we have a flower. We have Festus reaching out for the flower. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, we are just going to highlight everything that's around this flower, something like this. And now I will grab the previous render that we did of the Lich and make that a thing. So like or use that. So I'll open up a second Midjourney instance. So I do want to say really quick, guys, you might be wondering how I'm loading up Midjourney the way that I'm doing it here. I have Chrome installed on my computer, okay? And then I installed the Midjourney app or web app onto my desktop in order to make it so that there is no search bar at the top, nothing like that. There's no URL or browser. I have to actually manually click it and hit open in Chrome for that to be a thing. It's just a more full screen experience for you guys, but I like it because I don't have to it's still Chrome. It's just kind of, all the unnecessary bits aren't there. So I've got that installed. But now we're going to go to our previous creations here, and we're going to find our little skeleton dude here. So let's see the close up. I'll take this close up here. Yeah. We'll just do this. I will take from our Photoshop, actually. That'll be easier. We have Photoshop open here. Let's get rid of the flower really quick. Oops, I want to keep all that background stuff I got rid of, though. There we go. And I'm just going to copy this dude like this. Boom, copy. And now drag this just copy and paste in the Midjourney app. So let's go for here, paste, and I'll wait for that bar to load. And as soon as that's loaded, I can click on this, right click it, and hit copy URL or copy image address. Okay. And what this lets me do is now open that other instance of Midjourney that I have open and be able to now paste this as a character reference. So get rid of these of Festus, add him as the character reference, and then I'll describe the character as a purple robed skeleton with a flower coming out of its mouth. And if we want to kind of double down even more, we can grab a second image, the full body version of this character, and add on additional C-refs to that. So and you guys can see here, I am working on a new Sage and Michael comic as well. No spoilers, but I definitely have some shenanigans related to Windows 95 coming out, because it is 1995 in the Sage Comics world right now. So let's go ahead and grab that one image we have, this one here, copy that. And now inside of the editor, I am going to also paste this and then set this as a character reference. Every image you upload to Midjourney by default is going to be seen as an image prompt. But if you hover over, you see these three little icons that show up. We're going to click on the one of a dude, the little guy here. That will turn it into a character reference. So now we have two character references that will be merged or blended together before it actually starts to process this image. So just know that that's how that works. It essentially, these two images will do an image blend. It'll blend these two together, and then whatever the result of that blend is what's used as your character reference. So if you do have just this actually happened with a new member. If you have a bunch of close-ups inside of your character reference, you're actually telling Midjourney, hey, be creative with everything else around this character's head. So if you really want to control their outfit and all that stuff, just make a character sheet and only use one image as the reference. That's the best way to retain control. But the results can be very stiff. Your characters are always sitting, or they're always standing, or they're always doing whatever's in. Or if they're holding a prop, they're always holding the prop. That kind of thing. But let's see what we got off of these two results here. So he's more caressing the skull than anything else. We're gonna have to lower the amount of in-painted room here. But we can see if there's anything that kind of evokes close to what we want. And it seems like the close-up of just the skull by himself gives us the closest aesthetic to what we had before. It's just ridiculous the amount of the area that's in here. So let's now click on the edit. You can hover over and go back to the original version, hit edit, and now we are going to restore a bunch of this stuff because we saw just how much it added to it. We really don't want it to do that, so I'm just going to return to this here, and then get rid of this because we saw that the close up is all we really needed on that, and then we'll hit submit. And I'm also going to do one with a CW of like, I don't know, like 10, that's like really really low, to see if we can get less of just a giant skull is the result here. Okay. And while that's rendering, I'll see what you guys are talking about inside of VC text because I see spoiler text. So it's Sage and Michael in it. Yeah, it does. Oh my god, that's the spoiler. It has Sage and Michael in it. It's just some wobbliness going on with that one. Go pasta. Okay, let's see if we got the mouth here coming out at all because this is what I was worried about, was that the skull in the background of this image is going to influence the rest of the character here, and it has. You can see the skull is now, it's trying to justify the robe for the skull that's in the background. So we will get rid of the character reference first and rebuild this shot a little bit, just a little bit. So let's go to edit, come into here, edit this, and without using any character reference at all, I'm just going to try to get the scene to look like how it is with the rest of the background here, getting rid of the skull entirely. So let's go for this here. If I really wanted to be accurate about this, I would create a version of the main shot. So like if let's just do it. Let's just do it. Why not? Why not? You guys are gonna appreciate seeing me do this anyway. So if I come into here, I have the master shot of our character here. Okay, I can create what I call an aesthetic plate by getting rid of the subject matter of the prompt. Okay, this is really great for style references. It's really great for anything where you don't really want a character to dominate the result, just by removing the subject that is the focus of the image. Okay, so we will come into here and just highlight the character sitting in this throne, like so, making sure we select all bits of the throne like that. And then you can do this with Photoshop, you can do this with Midjourney, it doesn't really matter. You just want to make sure that you're getting rid of the subject in the middle. Okay, so I'm just doing a generic gen fill into the center here without giving it any direction whatsoever. And that's going to make a blank, basically like an empty area for this scene. I like it with the moon in the middle. That's pretty cool. I like that. So we do have some shadow kind of playing onto the moon though, which is just gonna bug me if I leave it in there. So I'm gonna get rid of that really quick. But we'll use this as the style reference in order to fill in the area around the lich, because without the lich featured inside of the shot, it is going to give us much better results when it comes to using this as a style reference. That's for sure. You just won't get a bunch of liches showing up in your image here. So what's interesting too is that it has done some anthropomorphism to the image here in order to accompany the prompt. You can see that right here. There is a hand, and then there is another kind of hand reaching out. Branches are just like we do pareidolia. We experience pareidolia. Midjourney experiences pareidolia. It will see things in the darkness that don't exist. So the darker your style references, and especially your character references are, the darker they are, the more likely it'll misinterpret what is given inside of your image. Okay, because of stuff like pareidolia. So kind of a fun thing would be a fun little like deep dive, right? Like to like kind of dig into some of the psyche of that, not to overly humanize Midjourney, but it is certainly true that there's elements of pareidolia that show up. So yeah, that hand is 100% a skeleton hand. But now that we have this, I am going to compress that all down and then copy this over to Midjourney. So let's do that. Okay. And I will just paste that image into the prompt here. And then set that as a style reference, which is the middle button right here. The style reference, as opposed to a character reference, is just going to make sure that the color palette and some of the aesthetics are preserved, but it's not going to force the character or anything that's in there necessarily. It's just really good at honing in the randomness of Midjourney, basically. So we're gonna hit submit on this. That's right. We don't have a character reference, so I got to get rid of CW10. Okay. And then if we really wanted to kind of hone this in before the character gets in there, so we would get rid of the skeleton entirely. We'll just say that this is a purple flower amongst thorns and dead branches. And we'll see what it does with this. But because we've already done so much to describe this within the style reference, like look at that. Like that's just because I wrote skeleton in there, and it just was able to infer most of what I wanted to do here. So that's awesome. But we have our sort of throne, or like a thorny throne, the starts of a thorny throne, room kind of thing here. So that's mostly what I'm aiming for here, because I want to now, like this one's great. I think this one works. We can now hit edit here. We're going to do a little cleanup, one pass of cleanup, just to get rid of the flower that's closer to his hand here. And then I'm going to put the skeleton guy right here. Now that we have the rest of this background mostly filling how we want to, I can essentially finish this shot. And we'll take it from there. If anyone has any questions or things, I know that there is a couple of new folks here. I'm noticing a couple new names here. Hi, my name is Victor. And I'm a former visual effects artist for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. I worked on shows like Robot Chicken, Moral Oral, and a bunch of others. Mostly stop-mo stuff. But now I'm here doing stuff with Midjourney and you guys. So it's just a lot of fun to have you here. If you are looking at the stream here, you'll notice that on the top left, that's me. You can always zoom in and take a closer look at what I'm doing here. But inside of VC Text, is where we're chatting. So you can find that just above the stage here. And VC Text will let you all chat with us. You can also join servers and share things here. And then right above that is right below that is VC Create. And that's actually where we're prompting and making stuff together. So there's some already creepy stuff coming from Snoopy here. Perfect. But this is an amazing way to collaborate. It is so much fun to make things with you guys, and I really want to make more. We're trying to figure out a way to get the linear feed to be consistent on the video here, but we're getting there. We'll figure it out. Tabby Cat asked, "Will this be recorded and posted anywhere?" Yes, it's all recorded to YouTube. So we will be posting. Yes, just above it. Thank you so much. I see it. Just click on where it says YouTube Victor Gnarly Beep Boop. If you click that, you'll join my YouTube channel, and that will have everything you need there. I will be uploading 4 streams tomorrow, so I'm kind of it was my birthday this month, guys. I took a little bit of a break, so I'm gonna catch up by uploading all of my streams since the new year. And then we'll figure out what we're gonna do for Fantasy February through the next week. So I'm very curious to see what you guys want to do for that. It was a lot of fun doing that birthday party Jackbox stuff. And Rhapsody wants to host a lot more party nights on looks like Thursday will be it. So we'll see about that. We'll see about organizing all that. But if you join the server, you'll get the pings. You'll get pings from us to know when we're kind of all hanging out and stuff. But I'm looking at a bunch of this stuff from you guys, and it's just awesome. Like, thank you so much for Rhapsody for running all these renders while I was nitpicking inside of After Effects like I always do. It's just really cool to just come back into here and see all the interesting results that we're getting here just off of just off of like loose prompts. You know what I mean? Like we're not even really giving a lot of intent here. But oh, I like the walking. Oh wow. Yes, anytime it shows like a decent amount of parallax or interesting like movement, I am all down for that. That is awesome. Um, let's see here. Any of the vintage footage stuff is always interesting. I did see a couple AI video stuff that was super impressive to me on r-AI video. Which by the way it's I don't like the moderator of that subreddit. That subreddit is like it's the most automated subreddit I have ever been to. If you post a new video on AI subreddit, it bans you automatically for 3 months because they don't want you to spam. So that's how they prevent it. It's just by mass banning new submissions, and then hope that you have enough interest to come back in 3 months. But yeah, we're getting a lot of really cool results here. This is awesome. I am slowly becoming insane. Yeah, yeah. I bet with all this random footage being sent around, yeah, I bet you're going a little wacky. Um, okay, guys. All right, so we're coming up to 6:30 here. We do something called the after party over on my server that you're welcome to join. This is your chance to hop onto the stage and talk with us directly. And it's a really fun way to get to know everybody. And we'll be able to do a catch up there of all the videos that Rhapsody had rendered with everything that you guys have done on that. So just click the join button on VC Text, and we'll see you over at the server to not just talk about your projects, but also check out all the video stuff that we rendered here. Because there's no way that I'm able to catch up with everything here. There's just so much. Look at that. Just look at that. Like that is incredible. And this is kind of blending that or bleeding that line of where I would say that this is a little too storybook or a little too painterly to animate correctly, but it's looking really good. Like this one's really, really good. Pika Labs just keeps impressing me the more I use it. So I'm curious to see. Gonna have to give the after party a miss today. Sadly, gotta go to sleep. No, thank you so much for joining Gom Pasta. It's definitely great having all you guys, all the regulars coming in here and hanging out. I want to see more of you guys, but don't ever feel obligated. Never feel obligated with me, guys. I want to. I just really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. All right, so the show after the show is going to get started in a couple minutes here. But I would love for you guys to join here. Is there any like closing statements or things you want to say, Kinky?
No, I'm good. Just come to prompt battles. You'll love it. I promise.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for co-hosting, Kinky and Ancient. I really appreciate your all's time, and I hope to see you
Thank
guys.
you.
Oh no, thank you so much. I'm just I thank you guys every week that I get an opportunity to do this stuff with you guys. It's just so much fun for me, and I'm frankly just so excited to see what sort of stories we got coming. There's a couple new things that are going to be coming around the corner. Fantasy February is going to be really big, guys. I have a suspicion here that I've got a couple of fantasy comics that we are going to boost a lot of attention to our server. So I am excited to see what you guys make and to see your characters start to explore Phantasma. We'll also be reopening Patchwork next week. So a lot more Patchwork stuff I feel like is around the corner so that we can collaborate visually all together. So, okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I'm gonna wave goodbye to you guys because now I have the ability to do that. So I'm gonna do it. All right. All right. See you guys. Bye.
Bye bye.
Later.